Yeah, I know. I'm late. Had a lot of stuff to do. Turkey wasn't going to kill itself. Welcome to the Twee'quel podcast. What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Alexander, the voice and the void, the lone wolf, your favorite host with a lisp. Welcome to the Twee'quel podcast. Thank you very much for rocking with me for this long. If this is your first time, we got plenty of episodes for you to go and watch. And if you've been rocking with us for a while, thank you very much for coming back. Hey, we got a lot of stuff to do. We got to get through today. I know I'm late. I know it's been a while since I've been here, but you know, holiday coming up, kids and stuff like that, and family matters. Just a ton of stuff I had to go through. Nothing you want to know about anyway. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and we got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about real quick. We're going to do us a nice little just speed run right through everything, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. So let's get right into it. So first up in the news, we say rest in peace to longtime TV show host Chuck Woolery. So he passed away just this past Sunday. There has been no cause of death actually reported just yet. A whole lot of people remember him for being a host of The Love Connection and Scrabble and a handful of other TV show game shows. But he was actually the very first host to Wheel of Fortune before Pat Sajak. So it seems like we've lost both of the Wheel of Fortune hosts now. Like I said, there has been no cause of death actually reported yet. He was up there in age. He was actually the age of 83. That's a nice long life. At the box office, the number one spot was taken in by Wicked at $162 million. Coming in at number two was Gladiator, $220 million. These are worldwide numbers, and I'll tell you why those are actually backwards. Coming in at third, Red One, that falls from number one to number three. I'm not really surprised at that. Wicked came out of the gate swinging. It was actually at $100 million before the end of its first day. New this week is coming out is Moana 2, the animated follow-up to the original film. Now, if you're going to ask me why Gladiator is $220 million, but it's still at number two for the week. When we say number 1, 2, or 3, all these numbers are for domestic only. They don't really calculate the international numbers into the number one film. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, a number one movie in the United States is usually the number one film around the world. But it's not really the case in this. With this Gladiator, like I said, it is $220 million, but that's worldwide. They're at about, I want to say 160, just behind Wicked domestically. But I got a feeling they're going to catch up to it real fast and take over the number one spot before this weekend is over. With Moana coming out this weekend, Moana may climb up to number 2 itself, because these numbers are going to be calculated for a long Thanksgiving weekend. So they're, instead of counting just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, this is going to count Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even a little piece of Monday. So whatever happens, I'll let you know next week when we talk about it. Everybody's favorite movie uncle Denzel Washington is getting ready to retire. At least that's what he says he's going to do. Along with Gladiator 2 coming out, which actually features Denzel Washington, and we're going to be talking about that movie later on in the episode. He's been doing a lot of press tours to help promote the movie, and in one of the interviews he said that he's going to be doing a couple of stage plays. He's going to be doing a couple more movies, working with artists he'd like to work with, and he's actually going to appear in Black Panther 2. That is huge news. In my opinion, he should be Blue Marvel. It's a good character. If you don't know it, look it up. He'll actually fit into everything that's going on with Black Panther, but that's a whole nother story for another time. But along with telling everybody his schedule of everything that he has coming up, he let slip and actually said it out blank that after he's done with these projects that are coming up in Black Panther 3, I should say, he's going to retire. Now, it's kind of sad to see that he's going to retire, but he's earned it. If anybody else in Hollywood has earned a retirement, it's Denzel Washington. Every single thing that man has been in, pretty much I have liked. Very few projects that he's done there, I was like, it's not really my cup of tea, but everything he's done, he has liked. If you haven't seen any of his interviews over the past few months, or actually the last month or so, with him helping to promote this movie, watch it. You know, we've always known Denzel Washington to give out some really good advice just for life in general, not just for working in the business, but a lot of the advice he's been giving out of, and a lot of the things he's been saying about other people over the past month or so has been like some of the best he's ever given. And thank you, and we tip our hat to Denzel Washington for all he's ever done. Sony Interactive moves to buy Kodakawa. Now, if you do not know the name of the company, I'm not really surprised. A whole lot of people are not going to know it. Well, Kodakawa is the parent company to another smaller company called From what was the name of it? It's called From Software. I always get that name a little bit wrong. Now, if you don't know the name of that company, that is the company that is behind the massively huge game Elden Ring. So, in my opinion, with Sony moving to buy it, it looks like they're going to have the game. And when Sony buys smaller companies like this with bigger games, usually they are looking to expand the game itself and to use that property for something else like a TV show or a movie. So expect to see that going into the future. My honest opinion, I don't like this. Elden Ring is such a great game because it's a game from a smaller company that is just particularly aimed at doing that game and nothing else. And the attention paid to that one is what makes Elden Ring such a damn good game. So I think the Sony interference with them buying the company, I think that's going to expand the game, but it's going to make the game a lot less appealing. And it also means that a bigger company buying that one, that means all of these smaller companies are being moved into one big pool, which over time, and I don't think anybody actually notices that this is the problem, video games are becoming more and more expensive. That's because all of these larger companies are swallowing up all of these smaller game producing studios. I don't like it. And if you don't play games like Elden Rings, MMOs, and RPGs, trust me, this is going to make your video games a hell of a lot more expensive too. A rising tide lifts all boats. So that means when one game that, especially a game that is a massive hit, goes up in price, all other games go up in price to keep pace. And I don't like this one way or another, but there is a small chance that antitrust companies from the United States and from Japan will move to absolutely knock this down and say, hey, you can't keep buying up all these smaller companies. But we don't know that for sure. This sale started last Wednesday, maybe last Thursday, and whatever news comes out of it, I'll let you know when it comes up. So we're going to end our news today talking about hip hop. Now, over the weekend, we got a surprise album drop from none other than Kendrick Lamar. So his fans and his enemies are very much surprised at the fact that he dropped the album with pretty much no type of advertisement, no type of talk about a new album coming out. He just put it out there. So I can't wait to actually listen to this all the way through. I've listened to a couple of songs and they are damn good. So once I listen to the album all the way through, maybe we come back and talk about it. There's another hip hop album out right now that if you haven't listened to it, I suggest you actually go listen to it. Of all people, I never thought I'd be saying this, but Tyler, the Creator, gave us one of the better albums this year, maybe even the last couple of years, with Chromacopia. It is a fantastic album. I did not believe that I would like this album as much as I do. Tyler, the Creator, has never been my cup of tea specifically, but this album here, Chromacopia, is absolutely one of the best hip hop albums I've heard this year for sure, and most likely over the last couple of years. So if you have not listened to it, go listen to that, and make sure you go listen to the new one from Kendrick Lamar, GNX, as well. I'm pretty sure this one's going to be good as well. That's all of our news for now. Don't forget to check over on our Instagram page at @the_Twee'quel_pod. Up next, we're going to talk about the movie Gladiator II. One thing that I have always said about pretty much every movie I've ever seen, the sequels are usually a letdown from the original, especially if the original movie is as successful as a movie like Gladiator. The one thing about Gladiator, the original, that I liked was that it was a self-contained story. It really did not need a part two. So when they announced that they were going to do a follow-up to that film, I really kind of turned my nose up at it. I didn't expect it to be any good whatsoever. And I'm happy to say that I'm kind of wrong. The movie itself is not perfect, Gladiator 2, but and honestly, it doesn't hold up to the first one. The first one is a classic, self-contained story. They told you everything you needed to know. It ended the way it should have ended. They didn't actually give us too much to go on. But this story here does follow up on the first. Gladiator 2 follows up on the first very well, and it's actually a pretty good movie, and I think it's going to do huge numbers at the box office. Like I said at the top of the news, 220 million thus far worldwide, and I think that number may come close to $1 billion before long. I don't think it's going to get crazy and do numbers like Inside Out 2 or Deadpool and Wolverine, but I do believe it's going to do a huge number, maybe even $500 million, $500 million. So this movie is set 15 years after the end of the first film. Lucian, who was the grandson of Marcus Aurelius and the secret son of Maximus, right now he's living in basically secret exile to evade Soviet assassins. But when his town is invaded and his wife is eventually killed in this invasion, he winds up having to be thrown into the gladiatorial arena. And now he has to use his abilities within the arena and fighting. And he's going to team with a power broker, the one played by Denzel Washington, named Marcus Opelius Macrinus. And together they're going to take down the general who winds up killing his wife, who is played by Pedro Pascal, Roman General Acacius, and the twin Roman emperors. And they got two on the throne now, Geta and Caracalla. Now, I'm not going to go into any spoilers because I want you to see the movie, and I don't want to tell you anything really that happens. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can guess what happens before the movie is over. But I think this is actually a good follow-up to the film. Like I said, it didn't need one, but I do believe that they took the story from the original. They took a logical next step with it in telling the story with Lucian growing up, his father being Maximus, and him trying to undo everything that the Roman emperors have done and get revenge on the man who winds up killing his wife. This is a good story. Now, was it one I thought that they needed to make? No. I still believe that Gladiator was just a self-contained story. It did not need a part two, but at least with this particular movie, they don't step too much over on the original film and makes a complete spectacle out of the second one. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of spectacle, but they don't make the first one seem kind of unnecessary, like a lot of sequels actually do. Some sequels follow up movies and they don't do a good enough job at telling the story as a follow-up, but this one does a really good job of just taking the story and stretching it out a little bit longer. It's really good action, excellent acting. The entire cast is fantastic. This is probably the best cast I've seen in a movie all year long. With names Pedro Pascal, Pedro Pascal, Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington. It's just so many really good names in this film. And I don't want to tell you all of them because believe me, you're going to see a few faces like, hey, I know that person. Hey, I know that person. And they don't really have too many speaking lines, so they aren't really credited with the bigger names. But it is a fantastic film. I guarantee you sit there and you will enjoy it. To me, this is a film that you absolutely need to go to the theater and see. Don't wait for it to come on streaming. You wait for it to come on streaming and watch it at home on TV. You're just going to lose a lot of the context and a lot of the feel of watching the movie. This is definitely one to go out to the theater and see. Up next, we're going to talk about the movie Red One. You know, it is very hard to do a Christmas movie. Now, when you think of classic Christmas movies, you think of stuff like Home Alone. You think of something like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You even go back to Charlie Brown Christmas animated. But there are very few really good classic Christmas movies. And that's what they tried to do with Red One. And I think they fell far short of it. But don't get me wrong, this is not a terrible movie by no stretch of the imagination. It's fun. It's lively, it's bright, it's action-packed, which you don't really get to say about a Christmas movie, it being action-packed. So what you have is a film about Santa Claus being at the North Pole, and obviously he gets kidnapped. We all know this from the trailers. This is not some big, gigantic swing at the fence spoiler. But yeah, Santa Claus, who is codenamed Red One, played by a really jacked J.K. Simmons, who kind of makes me feel very inadequate and I should get back into the gym. He's kidnapped, and his number one ELF agent, Callum Drift, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he must team up with the hacker and tracker who gave away the North Pole location, who is played by Chris Evans. The character's name is Jack O'Malley. And they have to team up together in order to save Christmas and to save Santa Claus in time to get all the presents out to the kids. And they have to save him from a very evil witch named Gryla, who is played by Kiernan Shipka. This is a really good cast all the way around. You got Chris Evans, you got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you got J.K. Simmons, Lucy Liu makes an appearance, Bonnie Hunt. Every single one of them really good in what they do. Me personally could use a little bit more Lucy Liu, who plays the character Zoe. Bonnie Hunt as Mrs. Claus is just really good. That was a beautiful pick. It's one of those castings that you don't really get to see in a film, where they actually get a big name to play such a small role, but it still feels like it's a bigger role. That was actually really good. This is a big, epic Christmas story. We don't really get those outside of something like, an animated film, perhaps, like the one with Jim Carrey. we don't really get big and epic and action packed and fight scenes in a Christmas movie. So this really isn't a Christmas movie. This is an action comedy. And honestly, that's my criticism of the movie. They portray this as a Christmas movie, but it's not enough heart to be a Christmas movie. It's a little bit too much comedy for it to be a complete action film, and it's a ton of action, and it goes overboard with the action in some spurts that it doesn't need. So it can't really be considered a comedy all the way around, which most Christmas movies should fall into one of two categories. It should be a straight up comedy with a little bit of with heart and soul, like a Christmas movie, similar to Christmas Vacation, or it should just be all about heart and soul with a little bit of comedy. Again, like like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I always go to that one because that was my favorite. And this movie just doesn't have enough of one thing or the other in to fall into one category. It kind of does too many things, excuse me, at once. This is very much a movie that has an identity crisis. To me, it feels like an MCU movie with a Christmas theme, and I don't mean in a good way, like like some of the Christmas like some of the holiday Christmas shorts, right? Especially like the one that Marvel did with Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't feel like that. It just feels like they had a ton of money, they got a ton of names, threw it together and said, hey, here's a Christmas movie about Santa Claus being kidnapped. Not a bad idea by no stretch of the imagination, but I think they overdid it with the casting and they overdid it with the spectacle within the action. This could have been a really good Christmas classic going forward. But it's honestly, they kind of just devolved into an MCU movie. Lots of cameos, lots of big names, lots of action, a little bit of substance to it, but it's still a lot of fun. So I at least give them that. You will enjoy the movie. You will sit there and watch it and laugh and get a few chuckles. The Rock and Chris Evans, really good chemistry together. Honestly, Chris Evans is basically playing just a kind of more loose, goofier version of Captain America. Honestly, when you watch it, you'll understand totally what I'm talking about. This movie is 2 hours and 3 minutes. To me, it is too long. This could have been an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes and been just fine. There's a lot of exposition and a lot of transitional work between scenes that they just, if you cut it out, this movie becomes shorter and it becomes infinitely more enjoyable. It works in short bursts, but those bursts are few and far in between. To me, like I said, this could have been 90 minutes and it'd have been just fine. But overall, this is a really fun movie, right? It's a Christmas movie because you're talking about Santa Claus. You got plenty of Christmas stuff in it, but it's more of an action comedy. This kind of fits along the lines of Violent Night from 2022. This isn't going to fit with other Christmas classics that we've seen in the past, but like I said, it's still enjoyable. You can sit there, you will enjoy it by a lot of means. You will enjoy it. I especially appreciate the part where the entire the entire MO for our villain in this particular movie. Sorry, I got tongue tied. The entire MO for our villain in this movie is that she's become disillusioned with how with how people have become, and there's more and more people's names on the naughty list, and the world seems a whole lot darker. So she just wants to get rid of Christmas altogether, especially with some things that had happened to her in the past that has to do with Santa Claus. And they have used real people from Christmas mythology, and I want to say this is Norse mythology or Norwegian mythology for this, which is where Santa Claus comes from, and so does our villain. And I appreciate all of those things, but like I said, you don't have to go to the movies and see this. If you want to, just wait for it to come on streaming. You can go see this at the theater and you'll still enjoy the same amount as you would at home. Do not listen to Rotten Tomatoes. Their parent company is a completely different movie studio, so obviously they're going to dislike this one. But yeah, it's a very good movie. Like I said, this movie belongs alongside other action comedies with a Christmas theme like Violent Night, and it doesn't belong alongside other Christmas classics like Home Alone or Die Hard. But it is a really good movie. I'm pretty sure if you sit at home and watch it on streaming, you'll like it. Up next, I'm actually going to give you 4 anime that I really like that I don't think enough people are paying attention to. I can honestly say 2024 has brought a lot of really good anime. I mean, just just look around the landscape of what we got right now. I'm pretty sure everybody is obsessed with Arcane and Bleach. Thousand Year Blood War are coming back, but there are other anime over the course of the year, and especially over the last couple of months, where I honestly believe that they should get as much attention as Arcane and Bleach as well. So right now, I'm going to give you a list of 4 that I think that have, a couple of them have finished, a couple of them are still ongoing, that I think that deserves your attention, and you should be watching them as well. So coming in at number 4 is Brave Bang Braver. And try saying that 3 times fast. This is a sentient robot that comes to Earth to be piloted by a human host and to help fight off another alien invasion. This is mech. This is action comedy, sci-fi, and it's going to be a lot of veiled boy love floating around the anime. Do not let that deter you, because I know a lot of people will turn their nose up at that. This is a really funny anime. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of action. It's one of those animes that where you're going to go in with one thing in mind, but you're going to get something else. I am a fan of mech anime. It hasn't been a lot of really good mech anime over the past few years, but this one right here will definitely fill that need if you are a mech anime fan. If you are a boy love fan, you're going to get a lot of it. Excuse me. You're going to get a lot of it's kind of sprinkled out here and there, but it's not nothing overt. It's all just bubbling beneath the surface, and it's all done in jest. It's a lot of joking around the issue. But honestly, the story itself is just really good. It's a lot of coming together and a lot of bromance and friendship mixed into the anime as well. So if you are a fan of mech anime, watch this one. I guarantee you'll like it. At number 3, we're talking about the anime The Elusive Samurai. What you have is an adventure comedy with some historical fantasy thrown in. Now, I say historical fantasy because the main character, Hojo Tokiyuki, is actually a person from real life, but this takes a more fantasy twist to it. It doesn't actually recreate the actual life of Hojo Tokiyuki. This is a really good anime about a young man who's on the run after his family is deposed of their rightful power, and he has to find a way to make it back and to take back what is rightfully his. But his only power that he actually has is not one with a sword. All he can really do is run, fight, hide, and evade, and it leads to a lot of hijinks. This is a really good anime. If you watch this, if you in order to watch this, you will probably be a person who likes Vinland Saga, which is over on Netflix, and oddly enough, this is on Netflix as well. I'm guarantee you this will be one of those anime that you really like. There's another one on Netflix as well that I'm pretty sure you'll like, that's not on this list, that deserves a little bit of attention. But we're going to talk about that one at another time, because I just want to concentrate right now on The Elusive Samurai. Like I said, if you like Vinland Saga, you're going to like this. Give it a shot. I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy both. Okay, peep this title because it is long. Dead Demons, D, Destruction. Yes, that is the entire title. And with a title like that, you would probably think this is an isekai, because the longer the title, the more chance it is an isekai. But no, this one is actually not. This is comedy, psychological horror, romance, sci-fi, and of all things, slice of life. This is just a really good down-to-earth anime that's going to make you laugh. And what you have is a spaceship that is hovering over Japan, and basically we get into this Cold War stalemate between the people of Earth and this spaceship that has done nothing but just come and hover over the country. And it follows the kids as they go about their regular lives with all these other things kind of mixed into it. It is just a outright fun little slice of life anime with all these other little elements thrown in that you will enjoy. Trust me, watch it. It's not that long. You can breeze through this probably in one weekend, and I guarantee you'll like it. Coming in at number 1, Don to Don, sci-fi horror from our friends over at Science Saru. Look, I know what you're going to say. Hey, this is mainstream. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are watching it. Yes, but I honestly believe not enough people are talking about it. This is one of those anime that come along and we watch it and we enjoy it, but we don't know how great it is until too much time has passed. Something like Mob Psycho. It was great right out of the gate, but people are just now starting to understand just how good it actually was. I think this is one of those animes that's going to fit into that category, and I think more people should pay attention to it now. Very few anime that I've seen that do sci-fi, horror, and psychological kind of thrown together. It's usually too much blood or too much horror for it to be palpable to some people, and sometimes they pull back on that horror aspect, but still listed in horror, and people get kind of turned off and say, hey, it's not really horror, it's something else. But I think this strikes a very good balance between being very emotional, lots of action, a lot of horror, a lot of blood without being overbearing, and at the same time, just being a really good story about friendship, self-acceptance, love, and teen love, I should say. It is a really good anime, and this actually might be my absolute favorite for the entire year. Yes, or even over Arcane and even over Bleach. And I know that's saying a whole lot, but that's how good I think this is, and that's how much attention I think this anime specifically needs to have attention paid to it. That's my list. If you think you got some anime that everybody should be watching, drop it in the comments, and if I pick yours, I'm going to watch it, review it, and I'm going to give you a shout out. Up next, The Last Call. So that's it, and that's all. It's time for the last call. I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in this week. You didn't have to. You could have been doing anything else, but you decided to hang with me while I do this pokey little podcast. So let me tell you right up front, there is no weekend watch list. It is Thanksgiving time. It is time for you to hang out with your family, stuff your faces, have a good drink, have some laughs, watch some football. Shout out to my Detroit Lions, 10-1 going into the Thanksgiving game against the Bears. Just watch holiday movies. It is that time of year for us to start watching holiday movies. I'm going to watch the same 6 that I watch every year, and I'm going to throw some others into it. But I do want you to tune in Friday. With any luck, I'm going to be doing something tomorrow morning, and that I want to update you on, because it is a big part of my life, and it's going to be a big part of the podcast going forward. But you'll see what I'm talking about when you tune back in Friday. So I want you to get out there, have some fun, hang out with your family, eat. If you don't have anywhere to go, just stay at home and watch movies. Eat some McDonald's or something. Just take care of yourself. Enjoy yourself. I'm pretty sure most of us are going to have some time off work. If you're not working, that means you're doing something very important, and I appreciate you doing it. Don't forget, if you are alone this holiday weekend, I know how that time feels to be alone. I've had that feeling for a long time. Don't worry, you're not alone. If you do need somebody to talk to, pick up the phone, dial or text 988. There's always somebody there. There's always somebody there to talk to 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And trust me, you're going to get by it, and we're going to be okay. So for now, just take care of yourselves, have some food tomorrow, and I'll see you on the next one. And we shall end this episode the same way we end every episode. God bless. I love you, and peace. See you next time.